You have just crossed an important threshold with a courage whose true strength you have not yet fully recognized. And because of that step, I am drawing something miraculous closer to your life. Do not take this moment lightly, for there are decisions made in only a few seconds that can transform the entire road ahead. What you have just chosen was not merely a reaction to your circumstances, nor was it a fleeting impulse in the midst of turbulent days. It was a sign that you have stopped allowing fear to determine your future. You stood up in the very place that once made you want to withdraw, moved forward while your heart was still trembling, and placed your trust in divine guidance even though you could not yet see the entire path. I witnessed that moment. I saw the struggle within you, heard the questions you could not put into words, and understood how much strength that step required of you. Therefore, I want you to know that your courage did not disappear into emptiness. It became an answer echoing before doors that seemed to have been closed for a very long time. To others, what you did may appear to be only a small change. A single refusal, a decision to let go, an act of beginning again, or a moment of well-timed silence, yet in the depths beyond what your eyes can perceive, it carries a far greater meaning. You chose to honor the value I placed within you instead of continuing to accept what caused your light to grow dim. You stopped returning to the door that had repeatedly wounded you, stopped trying to persuade those who had no desire to understand, and stopped seeking permission from others to live in harmony with the peace I planted in your heart. In the very moment you chose what was right over what was familiar, a shift began. The unseen bonds that once slowed your steps are gradually losing their power. The voices that caused you to doubt yourself are growing weaker, and a new path has begun to shine before you. Even though its light may still appear as faint as the first line of dawn upon the horizon, I know you are still wondering whether you made the right choice. There are nights when you look back and fear that you went too far, let go too soon, or entered a place beyond your ability. But, my beloved child, deep peace does not always appear immediately after a righteous decision. Sometimes, before calmness arrives, you must pass through the empty space left behind when the old has departed and the new has not yet taken form. That emptiness is not proof that you have been forgotten. It is the place where I am cleansing away the noise, rearranging what no longer belongs, and preparing your heart to become spacious enough to receive the gift that is coming. Do not rush to fill that emptiness with old relationships, old habits, or old promises that once disappointed you. Allow the silence to complete its work, for there are things that can only be heard when you are no longer chasing every sound around you. What I am bringing to you is not a random reward given according to a passing emotion. It is the result of an entire journey in which you quietly endured, learned, and grew. I saw every time you wanted to give up but chose to continue. I saw you wipe away your tears and step outside with a smile so that others would not worry. I saw you remain kind even when you were treated unfairly. Preserve your integrity when an easier path was available, and continue hoping through days when there was no visible sign that anything would change. None of these things have been forgotten. Each time you chose purity instead of bitterness, forgiveness instead of carrying the burden forever, and patience instead of forcing the timing, you placed another solid stone in the foundation of your new season. Now, what was built in silence is preparing to appear, not so that you may boast about how strong you have been, but so that you may understand that faithfulness in dark days always bears fruit in its appointed time. The miracle you are about to receive may not appear in the form you once imagined. I do not want you to limit my answer to a single pattern, because you often keep watching one door while I am opening a much broader way elsewhere. What comes to you may be a new opportunity, restoration, provision at the right moment, a healthy relationship, the confirmation you have waited for, or a peace that no longer allows circumstances to control you. The greatest miracle may even be that you awaken one morning and realize that you are no longer afraid of what once kept you awake at night. Then you will understand that I am not only changing what surrounds you, I am also making you steadier within. If your circumstances change while you continue carrying every old fear, you will not truly enter freedom. Therefore, before placing the gift in your hands, I am teaching you how to hold it with humility, wisdom, and gratitude. Remember that the step you have just taken has ended a cycle that repeated itself for far too long. In the past, whenever fear spoke, you stepped backward whenever others doubted you. You began doubting yourself. Whenever the road became difficult, you assumed it was a sign that you should turn around. But this time, you responded differently. You did not allow anxiety to give the orders. You did not allow painful memories to write the rest of your story. You chose to move forward without having every answer. And that choice broke the power of the past. From this moment onward, you must protect this decision through perseverance. Do not return simply because the new place feels unfamiliar. Do not doubt merely because the result has not appeared immediately. A seed cannot be dug up every day to check whether it has begun to sprout. And you cannot continually reconsider a righteous decision simply because you have not yet seen its fruit. Allow time, patience, and my guidance to complete what has already begun. In the days ahead, you may encounter a few challenges that make you feel as though everything is opposing you. But not every resistance means that you are moving in the wrong direction. Sometimes, when you leave stagnation behind, the things that once benefited from controlling you will attempt to pull you back. Old words may echo again. Doubt may return for a visit. And certain people may not understand why you are no longer the person you used to be. Do not fight to prove that you have changed. A tree does not need to explain why it grows toward the light. It simply continues to grow. You must do the same. Let your peace, your maturity, and the good fruit of your life speak on your behalf. What belongs with you will recognize you in this new version of yourself, while what was only compatible with your former self will naturally fall away. Do not grieve every separation, for sometimes distance is the very fence that protects the peace you struggled so greatly to recover. I want you to continue walking with a tender heart, neither becoming proud because you overcame, nor closing yourself because of the wounds you endured. True strength is not found in never feeling pain again, but in refusing to let pain turn you into a stranger to love and compassion. Keep your words pure. Keep your hands open to help others, and guard your mind against negative predictions. The gift that is coming is not intended merely to make your life more comfortable. It will also help you become a source of encouragement to those who are now standing where you once stood. Your story will remind them that one step of faith can begin a great transformation. That delay is not rejection, and that silent days do not mean heaven has stopped working. Therefore, my beloved child, do not diminish the value of what you have just done. You chose light when darkness invited you to remain, chose growth instead of continuing to live within what was familiar, and chose to move forward even while your feet were still trembling. I am with you on the road ahead. Receive each day with gratitude. Remain faithful in the smallest responsibilities. And do not attempt to force what has not yet reached its appointed time. What has been prepared for you does not require you to fight for it, nor can anyone else steal it away. When the right moment arrives, you will look back and understand why you had to be courageous today. Then you will realize that the step which once frightened you was actually the doorway that led you out of months of stagnation. Keep moving forward, for what is coming carries restoration, joy, and a beginning purer than anything you once dared to hope for. I have seen your courage, and I will not allow that seed to return to you without bringing forth a worthy harvest. The angel sent to stand beside you was astonished to see that you were still standing, because the peaceful appearance you carry today reveals nothing of the depths you once had to cross. You do not bear the eyes of one who has been crushed by harsh days, nor do you speak with the voice of someone who surrendered to adversity. Within you, there remains a gentleness untouched by bitterness, a hope that disappointment could not steal, and a quiet strength that confounds even the forces that once tried to bury you. I know there were moments when you believed you were only trying to survive one more day. Yet you did not realize that each time you rose again, an unseen declaration resounded. What had been placed within you remained intact. You proved the judgments spoken over you to be false, because others thought you would retreat into fear. Yet you learned to walk with greater wisdom. They thought you would become cold. Yet you continued to love. They thought you would lose your direction. Yet it was within that very mist that you began to recognize the deeper calling placed upon your life. I want you to understand that increasing opposition is not always evidence that you are walking in the wrong direction. Some doors are being shaken because you are drawing near to a place the enemy has long tried to keep you from entering. Some voices suddenly become harsher because your growth has weakened the lies that once kept you bound. What has been planted within you is not insignificant, and your future is not written by the judgments others once made about you. You have been marked by a seal that does not come from human opinion. That mark is not found in your outward appearance, nor does it depend on achievement, position, or recognition. It is revealed in the way you continue to preserve your light through seasons that seemed filled only with darkness. The enemy may sow doubt, but it cannot erase the identity I placed within you. It may create noise, but it cannot cancel the word I have spoken over your journey. It may slow you down, but it cannot permanently close the road I have determined to open. There is a protection surrounding you that you have often failed to recognize. I am not saying that you will never face storms, but I assure you that no storm is permitted to become the final sentence of your story. There were nights when you lay still without knowing where to begin again, when your tears had run dry, but your heart remained heavy, and when tomorrow seemed to hold nothing worth expecting. Nevertheless, morning still came. You opened your eyes. You continued breathing. And you took one more step, however small. You called it the habit of survival, but I called it grace lifting you when your own strength was almost gone. You thought you had merely escaped disaster by chance, but there were things I stopped before they ever came near you. There were encounters I prevented from happening, doors I closed, even while you wept because you did not understand, and people I allowed to leave, even though you believed their departure would destroy you. Later, when you look back, you will realize that my protection sometimes appeared in the form of rejection, delay, or a road that was suddenly blocked. Therefore, do not take lightly the fact that you are still here. Your presence today is evidence that your story is not finished. What happened to you does not have the right to define the remainder of your life. A wound may testify to what you endured, but it cannot determine who you will become. Betrayal may teach you to be more discerning, but do not allow it to turn your heart into a locked room. Rejection may cause pain, but do not let it teach you that you are unworthy of love. I am using the very places that once caused you shame to cultivate compassion, using seasons of misunderstanding to teach you discernment, and using the times you were pushed aside to guide you toward a place where no one can take what has been reserved for you. Not one of your tears is wasted when you place your pain in my hands. I do not glorify suffering, but I can transform what once tried to destroy you into the material from which maturity is built. There were seasons when I did not answer in the way you desired. You called it silence, but I called it the room of preparation, when you could not clearly hear my voice. It did not mean that I had turned away from you. A builder does not always make noise where outsiders can hear. Sometimes the foundation is laid in secret before the first wall becomes visible. In the same way, I have been working in places too deep for your eyes to see. I am restoring the way you perceive yourself, correcting false beliefs that took root over many years, and cutting away dependencies that caused you to rely constantly upon others to confirm your worth. While you asked why nothing seemed to be changing, I was making you strong enough to carry what is about to be entrusted to you. If the blessing came before you had matured, fear might cause you to lose it. If the door opened too soon, you might enter while still carrying wounds that had not yet healed. Therefore, the delay was not punishment, but mercy protecting your future. During that season that seemed so quiet, I was arranging every small detail. A brief encounter may become the answer to something you have prayed about for a very long time. An ordinary sentence may awaken a new decision within you. A separation that appears to be loss may create space for a healthier connection. I am bringing the right people at the right time, while also exposing relationships that existed only because of the fear of loneliness. You do not need to chase everyone who is leaving, nor must you persuade those who have already decided to misunderstand you. What is meant for you will not require you continually to diminish yourself in order to keep it. I will teach you how to love without losing yourself, to forgive without returning to danger, and to remain generous while maintaining wise boundaries. Gentleness is not the same as weakness. Sometimes, gentleness is strength that has been refined. Knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. You must also remember that the enemy often attacks the way you see yourself before touching anything outside of you. If it can convince you that you are worthless, it will not need to lock the door, because you will stop yourself from walking through it. If it can convince you that your past has disqualified you, it will not need to take away your voice, because you will choose silence on your own. But today I come to remind you that you are not an unnecessary part of this plan. You do not exist by accident, nor have you been forgotten among the crowd. What you have endured does not make you less valuable. Rather, your perseverance is becoming evidence that darkness cannot consume the one who chooses to keep turning toward the light. Stop shrinking yourself so that others may feel comfortable. Stop apologizing because your growth has made you incompatible with old environments. You are allowed to leave the cycles that exhausted you. and you are allowed to believe that a new season can be more beautiful than what has passed. However, I do not want you to turn being chosen into pride. Nor do I want you to use the victories ahead to prove something to those who once looked down upon you. True power does not need to display itself. The one who knows that I am protecting them does not need to live through retaliation. You do not need others to fail in order to prove that you have been raised up. I am teaching you how to win without losing compassion. How to enter a new position without forgetting the days when you were weak. And how to receive more without closing your heart to the suffering of others. Humility will protect you from being led astray by good things. What I give is not only for your comfort, but also so that you may become a place where the weary find hope. The confused receive encouragement, and those standing at the edge of despair discover that there is still a way back. Therefore, remain at peace before the things that have not yet been explained. I am not absent from the chapters you do not understand. I am still writing, still joining pieces that seem unrelated into a complete picture. The days you thought you were being delayed may have been guiding you away from a wrong decision. The times you had to begin again may have been my way of delivering you from an unstable foundation. Doors that have not opened do not mean that you have been rejected. Sometimes they are waiting for you to become mature enough to enter without losing your peace. Continue to be faithful with what is small and present before you. Continue to keep your words pure. Care for your inner life. And do not despise slow progress. Every small step taken in faith is bringing you closer to a flourishing you cannot yet imagine. I am Michael, and I remind you that the battles you have endured were not signs that you had been abandoned, but evidence that you were preserved for a purpose greater than your pain. You survived things that once made you believe you would never smile again. You overcame nights when no one knew how fiercely you had to fight to keep your hope alive. Now, do not return to identifying yourself with the version of you that was once wounded. Honor that journey, but do not build your home there. Ahead of you are new mornings, healthier relationships, opportunities arriving at the right time, and a peace that does not depend upon whether others understand you. I am still here. I did not leave you in the silence. I did not forget you in the delay. And I will not allow any force to erase what has been placed upon your life. Keep walking, my beloved child, for what is being formed in silence will soon appear in the light. And then you will understand that I never stopped working. Not even for a single moment. The things approaching your life will gradually take the shape of the person you were truly created to become. And that transformation will often leave you silent with wonder. I tell you that the doors about to open will no longer require you to diminish yourself, hide your voice, or wear an unfamiliar identity merely to be accepted. They will open because you have begun to stand in your rightful place. Walk with integrity and stop denying the good things I planted deeply within you. There were places where you once tried with all your strength and still felt that you did not belong, because they were never built to receive the truest version of you. But from now on, you will be led into spaces where your presence no longer requires justification. You will encounter opportunities aligned with your gifts, character, and purpose, not because life has randomly chosen to favor you, but because you have stopped chasing what caused you to drift away from the noble nature I preserved within you from the beginning. Along this journey, new relationships will also appear with a gentleness that carries great depth. You will recognize that certain people come into your life not to stir up old confusion, not to make you wonder whether you are good enough, and not to demand that you exchange your peace in order to keep them near. They will see your value without requiring you to perform, and they will respect the boundaries you spent many years learning to build. I will not bring them to fill an emptiness through dependence, but to walk beside you in maturity, supporting one another with sincerity and reminding one another of what is good and higher. The connections formed in your new season will reflect your direction rather than repeat the confusion that once caused you pain. Therefore, do not attempt to carry everything from the past simply because it feels familiar. There are arms that once held you closely but cannot accompany you to the place where I am leading. Their departure is not always a loss. Often it is the way I release you from cycles that weakened your courage and caused you to forget who you truly are. As this truth takes deeper root, you will enter situations that once frightened you with an entirely different spirit. You will no longer rush to prove yourself before every watching eye. Allow one judgment to drown your entire day in doubt, or give the power to determine your worth to those who never understood the journey you endured. A gentle steadfastness will grow within you. It will not be loud, prideful, or eager to rise above others. It will be the peace of one who knows that they have been called to live with clarity, kindness, and responsibility. You will know when to speak, when to remain silent, when to open a door, and when to close a path that no longer belongs in your life. These decisions will not arise from bitterness, but from mature discernment. I am teaching you that tenderness is not weakness. Forgiveness does not require you to return to the place that wounded you. And love does not demand that you surrender respect for yourself. My beloved child, this transformation is not a string of unexpected, fortunate events, nor is it a gift falling from a random moment. It is the result of many days when you quietly faced yourself, of the times you chose to rise after believing you had no strength left, and of every small decision in which you dared to leave what was false and return to what was true. I saw the nights when you wondered why everything was moving so slowly. I remained near when you felt that you were walking without any sign of progress. Yet every tear, every act of patience, and every moment in which you refused to answer hurt with further hurt helped build the person you are today. No sincere effort of yours has been forgotten. The seasons that seemed empty were actually creating depth, so that when the blessing arrives, you will not only know how to receive it, but will also possess the wisdom to protect it, use it, and share it in ways that bring life to many others. You have been chosen, but not so that you may separate yourself from others or consider yourself greater than anyone else. That choosing is an invitation to live with purpose, knowing clearly what is worth pursuing and what must be released. I have placed within you something the world around you needs. It may be a voice that restores hope, hands that lift the weary, wisdom that helps the confused recover their direction, or faithfulness that rebuilds a place that appeared beyond repair. You do not need to imitate another person's journey in order to prove your worth. The seed I gave you bears a unique mark, and it can only grow when you nurture it with honesty. Do not despise the things you do well naturally, and do not underestimate the difficult experiences that refined you. The places that once caused you pain may become the places from which you understand others most deeply. The times you were overlooked may teach you to notice those who remain quietly outside the light. I can transform everything you have endured into wisdom, But you must stop being ashamed of your journey and allow healing to complete its work. The awareness of that calling will not come as one great sound that instantly removes every question. It will become clearer through each obedient step, every righteous decision, and every time you choose peace instead of returning to what is familiar but chaotic. There will be days when your direction feels very clear, and there will also be days when you can see only enough light for the next step. Do not be afraid because of this. I do not require you to know the entire road before you begin. I only ask you to remain faithful to what has been placed before you. One small action performed in faith is stronger than a great plan continually delayed by fear. You do not need to rush in order to catch up with anyone, because what is meant for you is not measured by another person's speed. There is a season for sowing, a season for taking root, and a season for appearing in the light. If you force something to bloom before its time, you may damage the very thing you have been waiting for. Therefore, walk slowly but steadily. Keep your mind pure, and do not turn expectation into pressure. Then you will recognize that the confusion that once covered your life is gradually fading away. Old questions will no longer possess the same power. The voices that once made you unstable will grow distant, because you have learned to distinguish between what brings peace and what draws you back into fear. You may not yet be able to explain this transformation fully, but you know that it is real. You see that you no longer react as you once did, no longer chase approval, and no longer panic when a door closes. You are beginning to understand that rejection cannot cancel your purpose. Delay does not mean you have been forgotten, and a quiet season does not mean I have departed. I am still guiding you gently, correcting your direction when necessary, and protecting you from things that appear attractive but would not produce good fruit. Therefore, trust the process that is unfolding. Do not put on the old garment again simply because you are not yet accustomed to the new person you are becoming. Do not make yourself small so that those who were once comfortable controlling you may remain at ease. You do not need to apologize for growing, nor should you feel guilty for choosing what is healthier. Remain humble, but do not confuse humility with denying the value I have given you. Be kind, but do not allow your kindness to be exploited. Keep your arms open, but also learn to protect the place of peace being built within you. From this day onward, walk as one who understands that your life is not a meaningless series of events. Every lesson, every season of waiting, and every time you rose again has been drawing you closer to the purpose prepared for you. I am here to remind you that you are not lost. You are being directed, shaped, and led into a season in which what happens around you will gradually reflect the sacred transformation taking place within you. Continue moving forward, for what is forming before you is not a repetition of the past, but a new beginning aligned with the true person you are courageously becoming once again.